Hey, folks. It's been a while. This is Panthers beat reporter Mike Kaye, and I'm joined by fellow Panthers beat reporter Alex Zietlow, and this is the Processing Blue podcast, where we talk everything Carolina Panthers, from Glorilla to highlight plays in practice. But Alex Zietlow coming straight off vacation. We've got a fun show, jam-packed with fun nuggets and commentary and analysis. But before we get to that, Alex, how was your trip and your time off?
Oh, it was great. Thanks for taking care of business while I was off the past 2 weeks. I feel silly asking this, but did you miss me at all, or?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I totally missed you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's one of those things where you feel like it's like plotting because you're only at one practice per week during OTAs, and really you don't need two people to cover that. I mean, don't tell our bosses, but I think you were missed at practice. Alex is kind of the glue guy of the media corps, right? He's the one that everyone likes. And nobody can say a bad word about. He even gets along with people that other people don't necessarily like. He's happy to see. He's like a golden retriever in a sense. He's the guy he's the glue guy. He's the glue guy. He's the Steve Kerr back in his playing days of the beat.
So I'm not Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, but I'm like a Chet Holmgren type vibe. Who's the glue on the Oklahoma City Thunder anymore? I mean,
who's the guy, the bald guy?
Oh, Alex Caruso.
Yeah, he's the glue.
No, so I'm guarding Jokic. Yeah, I'm getting steals. I'm hitting the occasional three. Yeah. Glue guy. Yeah.
Football-wise, I think a good glue guy, you would say, for the Panthers is probably
be careful,
A'Shawn Robinson.
Okay.
I think it's light leadership, but also lead by example. I feel like that's Xavier Woods was a good glue guy.
Yeah.
I think you could say Tommy Tremble's a good glue guy. Yeah. He's universally liked. You could say Chuba Hubbard went from being a glue guy to being a guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Next step. Take the next step.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
well, very high praise. I appreciate.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that was missed. I mean, but I would say, OTAs was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I think, we're coming off today. We're recording this right after the first minicamp practice. They smashed together more highlight plays in this one workout than in those two OTA practices.
I was about to say, it was so fun today.
It was a competitive practice.
It was fun. They weren't wearing pads, but everyone was going at each other. J.C. Horn, Bryce Young, Chuba Hubbard. Bryce Young was even talking? Is that did he develop this over the past 2 weeks? What's going on?
He's coming off a kids camp which was
all about mental health.
Yeah, all about mental health. He's clearly in a good spot. He's in a great space.
Yeah, I guess so. And it was just, there were really good reps out there. Hunter Renfrow looked really good in my opinion. We'll get to who looked good, I think, as we go on through this podcast. And the reason why, Mike, is because I was hoping that we could I could essentially be asking you questions today.
Sure.
Because I haven't been here the past 2 weeks, and I kind of want to be the stand-in Panthers fan who's okay, I haven't paid attention up until minicamp. Might catch me up. So you want to just dig right in? Is that fair?
Well, yeah. Before we get to the education of Alex Zietlow, we should note, longtime Panthers linebacker Jack Thompson is officially no longer going to be an option for the Panthers. Mm-hmm. He signed a one-year deal with the Buffalo Bills today, right before the start of their mandatory minicamp. He gets reunited with Sean McDermott, which, at this point, the Buffalo-Carolina synergy...
It's insane.
It's only paying off really in one way. But, I think it's a good spot for him. If I would have named... It's funny, I was talking to our editor, Lydia, about, maybe I should do, a story about, the three best spots for him. Mm-hmm. And if I had the three best spots for him, last week, I would have said Washington, Indianapolis, and Buffalo.
Okay.
And so I'm glad he went to a spot where I feel like he will be appreciated. He will get playing time. He will be able to, re-energize his career. Always a great guy to talk to, a leader in the locker room. the ultimate glue guy, some would say. I don't know that he was always like the most natural leader, but he was always the guy that guys came to and when there was something big, and he was outspoken, right? Outspoken doesn't mean you're a leader, but I mean, he had a lot of leadership intangibles, and they kind of put him in the spot to be the leader as the long-term guy.
And a lot of that came from by virtue of the fact that he was just there for so long.
Right.
I mean, he was taught by Thomas Davis, you know.
Sure.
He played under Luke Kuechly. So, like...
Who, by the way, was at mandatory minicamp today.
Yeah.
Trey Boston, Jonathan Stewart, and Thomas Davis all were there.
Yeah, just hanging out.
I should have noted that in my notebook, but frankly, that thing is jam-packed, if you speak.
No, that's fine. Mike, question number 1.
Yeah, let's get to it, baby. Let's do it.
You kind of spoiled this in your intro, but what's your favorite Glorilla song?
The next one. What can I say? The next one.
Okay, no, but just real quick, didn't you ask Bryce about this in his press conference, or did I just share?
Yeah, so
I'll
talk about this on podcasts and radio. But yeah, so like well, Alex is the glue guy. I'm kind of like the break the ice guy. Like, I think I'm known in press conferences. If you listen to press conferences, probably one out of every 5 is not started by me, right? And so we're in this like classroom at Johnson C. Smith, and it's like 8:30 in the morning. I know I'm gonna have a long day because I'm definitely covering the Bananas late at night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, am I gonna stay here for very long? I don't know what my plan is, right? We're stuck in this room. There's a bunch of TV cameras. He originally was going to put on a bunch of mics. That wasn't a great look, so we had him sit down. And just like to kill like kind of the tension, I was just like, hey, Bryce, see any good music videos lately? And he laughed to himself, and then he was like, yeah, that was hard. Like
Yeah.
I listened to the lyrics of this song.
And
immediately said to myself, yep, not going to touch it. That doesn't seem like very appropriate for kids or really young readers.
Sure, yeah.
That said, though,
she's fired though.
Yeah, as she eloquently put, she's a big fan of whatever the description of Xavier Legette she think. I mean, like I don't know. It was a lot.
Okay.
But I did. I will tell you this. I did spend the week thinking about like comparisons to guys early in their careers who were like probably not deserving of like the glow up or the shine of like a music video or a movie or whatever. And I was trying to think of like what the comparison was. And as somebody who is a millennial who was, I think I was 13 or 14 when Van Wilder came out. Michael Olumuyikandi, Darius Miles, and Quentin Richardson, the knuckleheads from the Clippers at the time, were all in there as like as college basketball players. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, you guys average like 12 points a game, bro. You're getting movies?
Right.
But Van Wilder at the time was like a low budget, like National Lampoon movie. So it wasn't like a big, like Ryan Reynolds wasn't a big deal at the time. I was trying to like think this like a comparison to that. And I'm not trying to insult X, but like this has been a surprisingly active marketing offseason.
It's wonderful. I mean, when was the last time a Panthers player had so much cultural cachet?
I mean, really,
it's wonderful. I mean, my mind immediately goes to Julius Peppers as aura. Yeah, I shouldn't have said cachet. Oh, am I a millennial for not using the word aura? Am I a millennial? Let's talk about it, Mike. We got to move on eventually, but
so I think what's encouraging and cool about it is nobody with the Panthers has an issue with this.
Yeah.
Because I've asked around, and it would be a problem if he wasn't such a worker off the field. I think there's like this misconception, and I talked to Rob Moore about this, where he basically was like, I tell my wife all the time, the joke's on them. He's actually super smart. He's got a great football IQ. I think there's this misconception that he is not self-aware. He's extremely self-aware. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's using his uniqueness to his advantage.
His charisma to his advantage. Sure.
I mean, we said it. His first press, he looks at you and you feel like you're the only person in the room.
Oh, yeah.
As Glorilla eloquently stated in her magnum opus that was released.
Yeah.
I think, look, the guy has less than 500 receiving yards and he's the talk of the town. And I think that that's pretty cool. He clearly is very comfortable in front of a camera. I think, the XL summer is off to a pretty good start.
That's pretty cool. XL, extra large. All right, we have an extra large list of questions to get through, so let's roll through them. A couple weeks ago, I am just hanging out doing my thing in outside of Bank of America Stadium.
Words are tough.
On the South Lawn Pavilion, just watching Tommy Tremble and various other players go through goat yoga, trying to avoid
of course
feces, as they do to celebrate and to bring awareness to Mental Health Awareness Month. Next thing I know, Tommy Tremble is injured. What happened there? Can you just give me a list of the injuries that someone like me needs to know from the past 2 weeks?
Yeah. Somebody should look into the correlation between yoga and back injury.
Yeah.
So last year he had a back injury that kind of flared up after he had what was it, like a thigh injury? Didn't he have like a soft tissue injury last training camp?
I want to say it's hamstring, but
yeah, he had a prolonged hamstring injury, and I think that got to his back, and it just made him very uncomfortable. And from what I understand, he was having trouble like sitting in meetings, like the adrenaline. Like it's funny. We were talking with Raina Cash, our boss, earlier, about getting hit by a baseball. And so like in the moment, the adrenaline is like pumping and it doesn't hurt. And the next several days, you've got like a welt on your arm. I think that's kind of what happened. Like he would have the adrenaline to feel good in practice. And then just like when you're stationary, it kind of just tightens up on you. And so they thought about it and they're like, well, we have plenty of time to get ahead of this. If there's always PUP, there's always like, I think he's going to start on PUP. It wouldn't shock me if he started the season on PUP, just to give him an extra 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But that's problematic, right? Like you have JT Sanders, who, by the way, is in incredible shape. Like last year, I thought he kind of looked, a little out of shape, just coming from college. But it really seems like he took the offseason seriously. I think they really feel good about Mitchell Evans as that F tight end, the blocking tight end, and who can fill in for Tommy Tremble. But it's they just signed him to a long-term deal or a 2-year deal, and they can cut him after this year, but like you want him to be at his best because he ultimately is what makes this team better, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. What about DJ Wanham?
So DJ Wanham missed both open workouts with a back injury, what Canales considered a back flare-up.
Okay, got it.
If you're over the age of 35, you know exactly what that means. But he practiced in individual drills in New Jersey for mandatory minicamp. I heard back injuries heal when Alex Zietlow shows up to practice. He looked good. Then there was also Jalen Coker, who had a soft tissue injury. We know he had the famous quad injury last year. I'm under the impression this is probably more of a hamstring injury because he was able to get back. Quads can take some time. He was back taking part in team drills today. He actually had a really nice catch in 7-on-7 off a pass from Bryce Young. So I don't think either those two guys is worth worrying about. We did get a new injury today. Amari Barno, who has been a rotational pass rusher and a special teams ace, he had his right knee cleaned out today. It's the same knee that he had ACL surgery on last year, but according to a team source, they're not related. This was just like, again, a similar situation where it's like discomfort. We can handle this. Let's see where we go from here. But what's a bummer for him is I believe this is definitely the second straight year that he's probably going to start on PUP. And that room is crowded, right?
Yeah, it's gotten more crowded.
Yeah, even with Jadeveon Clowney gone, like you already look at it, like Patrick Jones and DJ Wanham potentially being the starting guys. And then you've got two guys nipping at their heels, like Nick Scorton and Prince Human Milan will be starters by the end of the year.
Yes.
Would be my bet.
Oh, interesting.
We'll get into that a little bit later.
You should have saved that. All right, keep going though.
Oh, I'm going to get into it.
Okay.
It's revolving them. That's going to be my hot take.
Okay.
And I think that puts him behind the 8 ball because really what I was interested in seeing low key was DJ Johnson versus Amari Barno for that fifth pass rusher spot. And because they are so different, like a Barno is basically a speed rusher. So he fits into that Wanham Princely category, and DJ Johnson fits into that Scorton Jones strong side category. So I'm really interested to see how that kind of plays out. But yeah, there's also a wide receiver, Bryson Tremaine, who's like 800 feet tall. And that's like his one thing. You actually have more receiving yards in the NFL than he does because he caught one pass for -2 yards with the Washington Commanders.
Oh,
mazel tov to you! Congratulations to you on your family.
What? Jimmy Horn Jr. also.
Yeah, Jimmy Horn Jr. Yes, which he's easy to forget, but he was out there on the field. He's got a minor.
He's out there. Yeah,
he was jogging. He's got a minor hamstring injury. I've not been worried about it whatsoever. That stuff happens. He's getting used to the heat. I know he's from Florida, but when you go to Colorado and then you come back and all that stuff, I think he'll be fine for training camp. He was out there.
Word.
I wouldn't pay any mind.
Sounds good. So you have seen 3 open workouts, 2 OTAs, and then today. I was wondering if you can give me 3 names who have impressed you through this week, or through these, last 3 open workouts. Preferably working a rookie in there if you could. Just like who do I need to know about?
Okay, so I would say Hunter Renfro's kind of come out of nowhere for me.
Okay.
The first OTA I didn't really notice him. The second one he had like a catch or 2, and then I was asking around, and he's gotten like rave reviews. They've been really impressed by him. I don't understand why Panthers social media has constantly put out videos of him like rounding out routes or like not great examples of how he's played, because that was something I was concerned about after all those years, or after the year off. And so today he capped practice with a great catch off a dime throw by Andy Dalton in traffic.
That was pretty.
I'm interested to see like where he goes from here, because I think they keep 6 wide receivers, and if you're 4 through 6, you better be a dynamo on special teams, because it's going to be so hard to make this roster. Like, here's the thing. So the top 3 guys, T-Mac, Leggett, Adam Thielen. Cool. They're not playing on special teams. Coker can play on there. He's not particularly dynamic on special teams, but we know he can play. Let's call him the 4th guy. Jimmy Horn can return kicks. Otherwise, you probably don't want him out there. Maybe if he's a gunner, who knows? That 6th spot, you've got to beat out David Moore and Dan Chizina, who are both pretty good special teams players. So if you're Jacoby George or you're Hunter Renfrow or whomever, you've got to step it up on special teams. And I'm curious to where Hunter Renfrow fits. I'm also curious to see if Hunter Renfrow plays really well. Does that lead to them shopping somebody? Which I'm not there yet. Like, I think there is like this tiniest smidge that a contender is like, we need the thing that we need more than anything is a slot receiver. And maybe you can get something for Adam Thielen, but there would need to be a lot of connective tissue that goes on between that. And that's not a report. It's just like in my mind.
Yes. That's just okay, so that's Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
2 more guys.
Okay, so
you can go with a rookie now here.
Yeah,
interested.
Look, I think Tetairoa McMillan, the first 2 OTAs had a pretty strong practices. He was kind of quiet today. Had an early drop, then also had a nice catch. I think like he's a guy that makes things look effortless and easy out there. I was kind of surprised by the drop, but it was like a quick throw, and he kind of called it out. It kind of hit his hands awkwardly. I'm not like killing him. I know there's been a Twitter uproar, so a minor Twitter uproar that whatever. But I think he's really impressed me with how he uses his body and how he makes things look. I've also gotten some feedback that I wanted to drop on here. He's been getting a lot of praise for what he's done behind the scenes too. He's extremely likable. He's well-versed in football. I know that video kind of made a lot of controversy, and a lot of people didn't talk about his football IQ off the field. But from what I'm hearing, he's like asking really good questions. He's alert in meetings. He wants to get better, and I think he is going to get better. And I know there was a lot of buzz about Jimmy Horn. I thought Jimmy Horn had a sensational rookie minicamp. But again, that's throws on air and all individual stuff. This T-Mac had some pretty good moments early on in OTAs.
If you don't have a 3rd guy, can I pitch a 3rd guy to you?
I mean, I do have a 3rd guy.
Okay, you hit me with it then.
I think Xavier Leggett looks really healthy.
Oh, awesome.
And
3 wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what you're going to get. Kind of an OT. I mean, fine. Leggett. Let's call him honorable mention offense.
Okay.
Shaw Smith-Wade has made a play every single time we have been out there.
Okay.
The first practice, I believe he had an interception. The second practice, he had a sack that was he was so quick off the line or off like the edge that he would have sacked Bryce into oblivion. Like it was really impressive. And then today he broke up a pass to David Moore. I think he's been well above expectations. He's getting rave reviews behind the scenes as well. Like they really like what they're seeing from him. I'm under the impression that they're probably going to mix and match nickel personnel. And I think him playing really well and then also having Trevon Merrick being so versatile. I think they've got a lot of options there. I think they like their secondary a lot more than most people on the outside, including us, which I'm sure we'll discuss soon. And then I'd say the guy who's the runner-up for defense would be Shamar Bartholomew. Darth Barth is what I like to call him.
Oh, nice.
He back-to-back open practices, picks. He ended practice last week.
That was a nice pick today.
Yeah, he ended practice last week on a pick, and then today he had one on Andy Dalton. Look, I think those like coverage and passing are what's going to be like the takeaways. I mean, I think ETN's looked pretty good as a runner too. That's what I would add.
Let's talk about this defensive back room.
Okay.
Lots of defensive backs in free agency. There was a lot of talk yesterday when Jaire Alexander, from a hometown kid who went to Rocky River High School in Minton Hill, was released by the Packers. And, that caused an uproar on social media. Me and you got talking about it. Apparently, a lot of people also didn't know that he went to Rocky River High School, which was interesting.
Me.
But so Mike, I was thinking that this could be good. I'm going to give you 3 cornerback names, and I want you to at least talk through where their fits are on this team, if they do have a fit on this team.
Sure.
The 3 that come to mind, firstly, Jaire Alexander. Secondly, Asante Samuel. Asante Samuel Jr. is somehow still out and about on the free agency market. And then this guy, Stephon Gilmore, who was his friend Jadeveon Clowney was trying to get him to the Panthers last season, and he was obviously spent some time in Carolina before. We can, if you want to add a fourth, we can also add Jalen Ramsey in there. But of course, I don't know the viability there. So, okay, take me through these 4 fits.
Okay.
Asante Samuel, Jaire Alexander, Stephon Gilmore, and Jalen Ramsey.
Let's start with Stephon, okay? They didn't go after him last year. It was very clear that he wasn't in their plans. He's in his mid-30s. I think that ship sailed.
Okay.
I think for him, it's contender or bust, or it should be. I think it's very clear what they're trying to do from an age standpoint. There are 9 guys on the roster who are over the age of 30. 3 of them are either 2 of them are specialists, and 1 of them is the backup quarterback. So you have 6 guys over 30, and we've seen what they're doing with Taylor Moton. They're not trying to rush to extend him long term. This isn't a year where they're going to go all out to contend. They want to contend long term, so they're going to protect their cap space in 2026. I think Gilmore, of the 4, is the least likely to happen. Let's get to Asante Samuel, who is mostly played on the outside, even though he profiles as a nickel corner. He's really small, and that's just kind of not the Evero sort of thing, as you and I have discussed. Size and length, at an incredible. I mean, I feel bad for Zach.
For the listener, Asante Samuel's 5'10", 181 pounds.
Yeah, so that's not really going to play. To give you an example, Shaw Smith-Wade was profiled as a slot corner coming out of college. He had never played nickel whatsoever, purely because of his height, and he's 5'11".
Wow. Okay.
So it's just that's something to consider. The nickel corner spot is very easy to get injured. It's also probably the toughest position to play on the. As my computer is starting to freak out.
We can see, so the people on StreamYard can see a flashing light on your skin, but they don't know
I don't know what's going on here.
No, but you're good. We can still see you. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wait, nope. There we. What is going on? Zach's probably not going to edit this out, but that's fine.
No. Let's keep the authenticity.
Yeah.
So as you were saying about Asante.
Yeah. As long as you guys can still see me. Yeah. So nickel corner has become a really tough position in football because you have to be able to tackle like a linebacker, blitz like a linebacker, but also cover like a corner or a safety. And I think the problem is he's oft injured. And I think, you don't want to put an oft injured guy in there. I think Shaw's good because he is actually a thicker nickel corner, right? And so what I would say too, with Jaire Alexander, getting to him, he reportedly wants to be paid elite money. He turned down a potential trade last year.
Got to be available though, right?
Yeah, you got to be available. He's played 34 games in 4 seasons, right? He's played more than 7 games once in 3 years. Granted, he went to the Pro Bowl that year. I just think it's tough. I also think it's time for Jalen Ramsey, for J.C. Horn to kind of run the show, right? And I think if you're bringing in another Pro Bowl corner and doing all that, it's kind of tough. Let's talk about Jalen Ramsey because
as he rubs his eyes.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I know that ESPN put out a kind of a roundtable trade offer thing, and Ben Solak, who I know very well, put out that a 4th round pick for Jalen Ramsey. No one is giving up a 4th round pick with that contract. Now, maybe if the Dolphins are willing to pay for half of it or more than half, maybe that works. But from the standpoint of using him as a 1-year rental, because his salary continues to climb, he just got paid too. It's I know he has the background with Evero. I just don't see it. He's also over 30. I mean, I covered him his first 2 years in the league. I think he's an extremely talented player. If they wanted to use him at safety and he was willing to take a pay cut, awesome. Mm-hmm. But I think, he's still a good corner. I just think his value in this defense would come at safety. And at this point, I wouldn't pay what he would need.
It sounds like you don't think that the Panthers are going to go and get any defensive back, or at least make a huge splash, because getting any of these guys would be a big splash.
Yeah, I don't know. As of now, I think they I wrote this in our Access Panthers newsletter, the free Access Panthers newsletter, which you can sign up for on
charlotteobserver.com.
Wonderful website, I've heard. I think they like their cornerback room more than we do. I think they really like Shaw Smith-Wade. I think he's had a complete role reversal within the organization and within the defense. I think when he couldn't get on the field, for a while, I think Caleb Evans is a guy they like. He's long and lanky, and he fits kind of the profile Evero likes. And then Shamar Bartholomew just keeps making plays. I don't fault them for being patient right now. Now's the time to be patient. Now, in training camp, if JC suffers an injury, I mean, you probably knock on wood as a fan, or Mike Jackson. Mike Jackson's going to regress. He played basically at his projected zenith as a start. He's probably an average to below average number 2 corner in reality, if we're being completely honest. If he stays at that level, awesome. But I think they kind of have to be prepared for that, and so they have to have a true, really good backup outside corner, and I don't know if they have that. So while I think they should potentially pursue upgrades and keep an eye on that market, I don't fault them for not doing it immediately. I also think Jalen Ramsey is going to be too rich. If Jalen Ramsey was a free agent and they can negotiate in earnest and not have to give up an asset, I think that's way more plausible than trading for him. And while he doesn't have a ton of guaranteed money, once you trade for him, that money is guaranteed via leverage, basically. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's as simple as the pure numbers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take cornerbacks out of this next question, because we could talk about that for a long time and we don't have unlimited time. Mike, what's the position we're most concerned about going into training camp, or at least at this exact moment? How I want to do this actually is I'm going to give you an opinion, and then you can either tackle it and say this is silly, Alex, or you can say no, I actually see it. Here's why.
Cool.
The position I'm most concerned about, if we're not going to talk about cornerbacks, is the linebacker spot, the inside linebacker spot, not the outside linebacker spot. They've invested a lot in the edge rusher spot, whatever. I'm talking about Josie Jewell, Trevin Wallace, Claudin Cherilus, Christian Roseman. Those are going to be your 4 guys going into training camp. As of right now, that's your roster.
Sure.
Josie Jewell is has one more year on his contract. He is on the older side, the outlaw, as he's been come to known. But last year he was swimming a little bit on this defense.
Yeah, I would say
Claude
fair.
Claude Charles had some injury issues, but and he actually did play well in certain situations when tag teamed with Trevin Wallace. But he, undrafted guy, was a bit inconsistent. Trevin Wallace, I thought, was actually quite good as a rookie.
For a rookie, he was fine.
Yeah, for a rookie, he was fine.
It should be noted, Trevin Wallace is practicing, even though he's coming off a shoulder injury, and Claude Charles had toe surgery, which I was told was pretty intensive surgery, and he's out there practicing as well. So
okay, Christian Rosebaum obviously has experience under with the Evero scheme. There are 3 guys on the market right now that I find mad compelling, and they're not necessarily the 3 best inside linebackers on the free agency market. But one guy is Germaine Pratt. Mm-hmm. A lot of Panther fans have heard about him. He just got cut by the Bengals.
High Point native, NC State grad.
Yes. I read somewhere that he had tackling issues at the end of last season, but he still had over 100 tackles last year.
He's known as a run defender. I wonder if his agility is kind of down.
Okay.
He is 20. He just turned 29.
Okay, but I think that adding him would be an interesting thing.
That whole defense was by the way, the Bengals defense was horrific, and so outside of Trey Hendrickson, so I think it was a comparable situation to what the Panthers kind of went through with their safeties and their pass rusher.
Okay,
they couldn't stop anyone, and so when 10 guys can't do anything, one guy kind of takes, the...
Yes. Yeah, no, okay, that makes
I would say that with Josie Jewell, who I've been very critical of. I think his play was downplayed because of the problems up front and out back.
Another guy who could come in and be an immediate upgrade, Kyzir White.
Kyzir White.
The Arizona Cardinals guy, he's the dude who laid out Bryce Young when the Cardinals came into Bank of America Stadium and Bryce Young had that great game. I can't believe it's 137 tackles last year, 17 games played. How has this dude not been signed anywhere?
He struggles mightily as a pure run defender.
Oh, interesting.
So he played for the Eagles for a year. It was right when I was leaving, and he was known as more of a coverage linebacker, like a 2-down coverage linebacker, and they played him a lot. And he fit Jonathan Gannon. I think it says a lot that Jonathan Gannon didn't re-sign him because he was known as Jonathan Gannon's guy.
Okay, fascinating. Well, and then my third guy that I think could come in and help this room a lot, and I'm interested to see how you feel about this. Camus Grugier-Hill.
No shot.
Dude, he's our guy.
He is our guy. No,
he played really well when Jack Thompson got hurt 2 years ago with his season-ending injury on Monday Night Football. I'm just saying, man, he is a veteran presence. As
not going to happen.
Okay,
move on. Well, what I would say is this. Here's the logical way of looking at it. Claude Charles basically does what he does and costs exponentially less because the veteran minimum is way more for Camus than it is for Charles.
Okay.
Not going to happen. They basically signed Rosebaum to be that third linebacker. I don't see the appeal for Camus.
Okay. But is being concerned about this linebacker room legitimate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. I think Germaine Pratt, of the guys that we have talked about worth signing, whether it's corner or linebacker, to me, Pratt makes a ton of sense. He's going to cost a fraction of what any of those DBs would be, and I think he brings kind of a nastiness. And look, it's a hometown thing. He can recapture his value. This is a guy who played on a Super Bowl, runner-up, and I don't know what his natural fit would be. I don't know if he really complements Josie the way that Trevin does. It would potentially come at the cost of the development of Trevin Wallace, which I don't know that they're interested in doing. If you said to yourself, well, Josie needs to be upgraded, then I think Pratt's the guy. I don't know. It's interesting because, again, the Bengals defense didn't play very well last year. The last guy they brought in from the Bengals who was a career starter was Von Bell, and he was terrible here. Nick Scott came from the Bengals. Yeah, tough. He should stick to special teams. I think for them, it's tough, right? Because if you have more linebacker depth, it helps your safety unit. But I also think Merrick's so versatile, and they can play a nickel and dime with him so much that I don't know that you need the linebacker depth as blatantly as you do. The position that I'm concerned about is safety because of that. Like, I think if you want to be really creative with Merrick, you need to have two guys you can depend on. And let's say that Lathan Ransom and Damani Richardson are those guys. Well, guess what? Safeties get injured. They are prone to getting injured. Who's behind those guys? Nick Scott, who we just brought up, who I got a laugh out of you for. You weren't trying to be disrespectful. Undrafted safety Jack Henderson, who I actually think might have a future at linebacker. He's built like a new age weak side linebacker. I think he's like 6'2", 220, which is wild for a safety at the NFL level. And then Isaac Gifford's a guy who kind of projects as a special teams ace. I understand why they're being patient. I understand that there is a much bigger market at safety really available. Like, let's say Jalen Ramsey gets cut. If you could sell him on playing safety and moving around, go for it. If Justin Simmons is a guy you like, he's got experience in Evero's system. And then you've got Julian Blackman, who, I mean, has been available for a while. Like, I think some of these DBs have a price. And we're getting to the point where that price doesn't match reality, even in the slightest bit, where you have to be like, sorry, Sprite. I hit a Sprite. If you guys picked up on
No
that.
one heard that, no.
I also got a boo-boo earlier. I got a splinter. But anyway, I have two young kids. Anyway, the thing I would say about safety is, like, Justin Simmons is going to be out there. Julian Blackman's going to be out there. Somebody's going to get cut. Like, safety is not a position that they are, like, highly valued. I'd also point out the Mike Jackson trade from last year.
Right. Yeah, no.
Like, this team seems very opportunistic, but, like, strategic as well. And so I think I read about this in the Access Panthers newsletter, wonderful newsletter that's free.
You can find it on CharlotteObserver.com.
Oh, thank you, Alex. I think if they had a trade chip, it might be on the offensive line. Think about this, okay? Brady Christensen's played center, Austin Corbett's played center, Cade Mays played center. You have three guys who've done that. Brady Christensen also is probably going to be your swing tackle. You also have Yosh Nijman, who has played quite a bit in this league. Cade Mays has a contract that's not guaranteed. The Detroit Lions just lost their starting center. Like, center is an important position, and being able to play it is important too. And a lot of teams have gotten away from the big center, there are still some guys that like road grading centers, and I think Cade Mays fits that. So,
are you proposing trading away an offensive lineman for a serviceable safety?
Yeah, I mean, because I think offensive linemen have more value than DBs, and so maybe you're able to do, like, the problem with, there's such a DB shortage in the league, just because if you're fast, you want to play wide receiver or you want to play, corner. So, like, not everybody plays safety. So I think it's an interesting dynamic that they're going to have to deal with.
Okay. I think we covered that pretty thoroughly. Let's move on to the hot takes.
Well, thank you.
Let's move on to the hot takes. And Mike, do you want to go first, or?
I think that the day two rookies are going to combine for double-digit sacks this year off the bat.
Wow! So we're not even talking like at training camp. We're talking on the season.
Yeah, I'm willing to say it right now. I think Nick Scorton and Princely Uman-Milan will combine for 10 sacks.
Okay.
I think or more. I feel like that is. And I also think they'll be starters by the end of the year.
Do you think it'll be 5-5, or do you think Princely will kind of make his impact earlier? We talked about that.
Yeah, I think Princely could have 6, and I think Nick Scorton could have 4.5. Like, I think that's reasonable, and I think Pat Jones is probably going to get like 6.
Wow.
And I think DJ Wadham's probably going to get 6 or 7.
Whoa! So we're talking about a lot of sacks this year.
I mean,
in comparison to last year, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to have a 10-sack guy, and I don't even know if they really need that, right? But I think they're going to move around so much, and I think the four complement each other so well. It's like really nice. So, like, I would use Uman-Milan as like the Marquise Haynes kind of like closer. Like, on third down, just pin your ears back, rush that passer, bend, get around the edge, you're fine. DJ Wadham, I would use kind of comparably, but more of like a early down guy. I think Patrick Jones is going to move around a lot, so I think Nick Scorton's going to get a lot more playing time than previous rookies in this scheme, right? Like I've talked about it. All those guys that I mentioned before, Nick Benito had Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory in front of him. Shaw Smith-Wade had Troy Hill in front of him. Damani Richardson had, Jordan Fuller and Nick Scott ahead of him. Like DJ Johnson, well, whatever. Anyway, but you get what I mean. Like there weren't as many opportunities, and I know I've been misquoted because friends send this to me that like Mike says, oh, Evero hates rookies or he doesn't start rookies. I have not said that. I have said that he has not been quick to start them. That's just true. But I think he's in a position now, and I think he's in a position in where he is as a coach. He doesn't really have a choice. Like you're going to have to play some young guys, and I think he wants to. I think these two guys not only fit what the front office wants, but I think they fit what the defense wants. And that's really important. Like Shaw Smith-Wade wasn't a natural fit for this defense. DJ Johnson didn't understand the position yet. Like I'll give them grace there. That was not a criticism. As a matter of fact, I would say that Evero's patience was something that I respected.
Mm.
And it's part of the reason why I didn't think Jalen Walker made sense, because Jalen Walker's a guy that, you've got a sports car, you use him right away, right? But he's a sports car that only had 2 seats, and you've got a whole family to bring along with you. Like this is
nice analogy.
She's kind of going everywhere. But my point is like I think Evero is in a position to evolve because he has personnel to do that now, and I think. Again, it wasn't a criticism. It was just laying out facts and the way that it's gone. And honestly, it's kind of frustrating to me that, like, I'm not going to be like, I was portrayed this way. But, like, the point is like, in his history, he has not been quick to pull that cord. I think this year you're going to see him play Lathan Ransom and Princely Uman-Milan and Nick Scorton relatively often. Yeah, I think that's going to show growth. I think it's going to make the defense better.
It certainly certainly a sizzling take. My take was much more guided toward training camp.
Go for it. I took a big swing.
No, I love it. No, I love it. Mine is going to be mainly about the practices, the preseason, and the training camp. I think after the Browns joint practice and after the Texans joint practice, the educated Panthers fan is going to be talking about one name on defense. Turk Wharton.
Oh, my.
And it's because I think a lot of people, perhaps the guy that's sitting right across from me, has kind of labeled him as rotational pass rusher. He is playing the position that he wants to play.
3 technique, yeah.
He is playing essentially tackle, as close to tackle as you can in this system. He is huge. He's massive. I think
he's short and stout is what I would say. He's 6'1", 280. Like, let's not.
But like he is like I listed out a whole bunch of things. I listed out a whole bunch of notable things that are skinnier than his legs. Are you interested in hearing?
I don't know, Zach. Do we have the time? Because there's a lot of things that are skinnier than his leg.
Pine tree trunks, lamp posts, pony beer kegs, those rucksack things that you hold the tents with when you go camping. I don't know if you go camping ever.
I don't really. And for several reasons why. But
studio cameras, and then I also put clouds in the ocean. Obviously, the ocean's more vast.
We have lost the plot.
Okay, but the point is I think he's really going to establish himself in training camp.
I think the way that he is built gives me a little bit more respect for his potential run upside. I would still run at him every play. Which is what defenses did a lot with Frankie Louvu, right? Like you find the 1 weak link and you run at him. I also am a big guy when it comes to A'Shawn Robinson. I think A'Shawn Robinson has become the yellow card, the ban of this defense, where it's like, yeah, cool, he's here, he's a veteran. But honestly, he had a career year last year. He had some pretty good hits, had a career high in sacks. I understand that some of the perspective on him is miles apart. That's a reference to a song there, Zach.
Yeah, no, I didn't get it.
Yeah, Alex is like struggling with his like millennial Gen Z. Like he's like right on the cusp. He's like
I'm December 96, so I'm technically a millennial.
Anyway,
that's
for another podcast. I would say I think they've got a really good mix and match rotation, and I think when they go to 4-man looks, he and Derek Brown are gonna be inside, and you will have Princely or DJ Wanham and Patrick Jones or Nick Scordon on the outside, and they're going to rush. I think they are going to be very creative with what they're doing. They're going to run some hybrid fronts that you have not seen before. I think we're going to see new iterations of this defense, which is partially why I feel like the young guys are going to get some run. But I also think they feel very confident in Turk Wharton, Bobby Brown, Cam Jackson. Like, they feel really good about what they've added to this defensive front, along with Merrick on the back end. Obviously, they have a lot of faith in Mike Jackson and J.C. Horn. I think this defense is going to be much improved, but they are also starting kind of from the ground up after being a historically bad scoring defense and a historically bad run defense.
Mike, I feel enlightened. I don't know about you.
Well, that makes one of us.
I feel nice and caught up. Are we good to go?
Yeah. I'd also say, you might have heard about this, but the Access Panthers newsletter is a great free newsletter that you should check out. Also, by the way, we are running a 6-month special, $199. Click on Alex's articles, click on my articles, sign up, subscribe. By my math, which isn't great, you can get all of our minicamp coverage, all of our training camp coverage, all of our preseason coverage, all of our final cut down stuff, and the first 3 quarters of the season, all at $199 per month. That's pretty cool. That's a good buy. Yeah. Oh, and on top of that, you get Charlotte Hornets coverage from Rod Boone. You get great news from our entire staff. You get great, if your kids are in high school, Langston Wirtz is the best high school reporter I've ever worked with. You're
just supporting a good local newspaper. Yeah, Scott, yep.
Plus, my kids need to get into trade school or college. So, that would be helpful.
We should have kept this on message about building community and supporting your local newspaper.
What I will say is I know what we have planned, and not to toot our own horns, but I don't think anybody covers practices the way that we do. And we want to make sure that we cover this team the way we would want the team covered if we were fans. And we try to be as accessible as possible on social media. Alex, I'll get off my my stump or whatever.
No, that's awesome.
Let's roll.
Thanks, as always, for listening to our pontifications on all things Panthers with Mike Kaye and myself and our wonderful producer, Zach Dennis.
Let's go.
Please subscribe and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts by searching Processing Blue. And if you watch us on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to get notified whenever new episodes drop. And finally, please be sure to stick to charlotteobserver.com for all your Panthers needs. Mike, stay humble, stay creative, and keep processing.
That's a wrap.